Another crunch week for Greece. Prime Minister Antonis Samaras meets Europe's increasingly impatient paymasters this week. A series of one-on-ones with Eurogroup head Jean-Claude Juncker, French President Hollande and German Chancellor Merkel. His hope, a 2-year extension to the deadline on his financial targets. Let's get straight to Fiona Cincotta, market analyst, City Index. Morning to you, Fiona. Is he going to get this extension?
Well, it seems unlikely. I think he's not actually formally going to ask for it until October, but he is actually putting the idea out there. And considering the politicians in Germany, their opposition to giving Greece any more flexibility with this, it seems unlikely that we're going to get a positive answer there. However, what we do need to bear in mind is this obviously is also quite an important part of the Greek coalition. This is one of the key promises behind it. So there's going to be a lot of political tension here. And what's going to be interesting is to see how the markets actually react to this. We've had a fairly quiet week last week. This is perhaps going to be the catalyst that they're looking for traders to decide whether to go risk on or risk off this week.
And of course, Reuters had a poll last week which quite substantially reduced the risk of a Greek exit. What are you saying now on that?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see whether there is a Greek exit. I think the chances have been reduced. There is a possibility, obviously, that it's still going to happen. And I think also a lot of countries and governments are also perhaps planning for it to happen. So should it happen, there is some sort of plan B. I mean, the ECB are going to, as far as we're concerned, do everything that they can, this is what they've said, to prevent this from happening. And so, you know, we are expecting perhaps a slightly more positive outcome than perhaps 3 weeks ago. And
Spain's economy minister, this is another Reuters story on Saturday, the economy minister saying that, or once again stressing the ECB needs to come in and help out. What are your expectations? Of course, we've got the ECB meeting, excuse me, coming up next month.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, we're perhaps looking to see them buying up Italian and Spanish bonds to reduce the spread from the German Bund. I mean, this would be absolutely ideal if it did happen. It would really protect Greece from any, the euro from turmoil, and especially, for example, any turmoil that might happen from the Greek exit. This really would be a signal that they are looking to do whatever it takes to protect the euro.
Fiona, thanks a lot. Other business stories on Reuters this morning. US prosecutors investigating Deutsche Bank and several others over business linked to Iran, Sudan and other nations currently under sanctions. The New York Times says the US Justice Department and the Manhattan District Attorney alleged the banks used US branches to covertly move billions of dollars. Brent crude futures rise to more than $114 a barrel as the US runs into opposition to its plan for a release of strategic petroleum reserves. Japan and South Korea, as well as the head of the International Energy Agency, have said there's no reason to release US reserves to arrest the rise in gasoline prices. A Chinese court has sentenced the wife of disgraced Politburo member Bo Xilai to death for the murder of British businessman Neil Hayward, but suspended her execution. Let's get to Tara Joseph in Hong Kong. What has been the reaction locally to this, Tara?
Well, it's certainly top news around Asia today. Although I've been monitoring Chinese state TV most of the day, I haven't even heard it mentioned. The verdict came in pretty much as expected. And if you look at the verdict and outside the courtroom, the atmosphere was incredibly calm and incredibly stern. There was no emotion at all from Gu herself, and she called the verdict just. We've also heard from Britain's embassy in China. It sent out an email statement saying that it welcomed the fact that the Chinese authorities have investigated the death of Neil Hayward and tried those identified as responsible. But that's about it. Not a lot of talk on the social media either.
So what happens now? What happens going forward?
Well, the question is, what happens to Bo Xilai, Gu Gailai's husband? He is the high-profile Communist Party official who was ousted. He's tucked away somewhere quietly. He faces some big charges from the Communist Party. The question now is what happens next? Where is he? And when will all of this come to light? And also, will it all come out before the leadership change, which is due later this year? So more drama to come in all of this, Axel.
All right, Tara, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks. The other top world news stories on Reuters this morning: striking workers at platinum producer Lonmin in South Africa, where 34 people were gunned down by police last week, face the sack if they fail to return to work today. The country's President Jacob Zuma has called the killing shocking and called for a week of mourning this week. Hollywood filmmaker Tony Scott has committed suicide in Los Angeles. Scott, who directed Top Gun and Crimson Tide, among others, was seen parking his car on the Vincent Thomas Bridge and jumping into the water below. His body was recovered from the harbour some hours later. That is it for now. Let's take you to our picture of the day. Strictly speaking, it was Sunday, but this is Reuters photographer Olivia Harris who took this. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange speaks to the media outside the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he's been offered political asylum, of course. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.